3872323.
LA 21-12671. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome into a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. No, I am not Hunt Palmer. Taylor Sharp here, filling in for Mr. Palmer, who is vacationing out in California. He's out there in LA. Planned an entire family trip around the Chicago Cubs. Don't know if I'd have done that, but more power to my guy, Hunt Palmer. I'm hanging out with you for the next 2 hours, taking you to 3 o'clock, where I'll hand things off to Matt Moscona here on this Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. They sponsored the Friday show each and every week. Okay, look, we're going to start things off recapping the LSU baseball game from last night. If you did not catch the LSU baseball game, you missed a lot. LSU absolutely dominates Kentucky. Final score is 16-6, but it was really more lopsided than that. And I know what you're thinking. Taylor, was more lopsided than a 10-run victory? Yeah, Tigers put up 6 runs in the first inning, including a grand slam by Jordan Thompson. Hit that in the first inning. His 4th straight game with a home run. Few innings later, Braden Jobert also with a grand slam. So 2 grand slams in that ball game. All offseason long leading up to the season, we talked about the potential that the offense had. And if these bats get hot, look out. This offense is better than most people thought it was going to be, in my opinion. I mean, I just mentioned you had 2 guys in the same game hitting grand slams, and they weren't even really supposed to be the big hitters coming back. I mean, Jobert had a good season last year, but you're like, can he duplicate that? He had that freshman year. Is it a flash in the pan? And he wasn't an everyday starter until recently. And then Jordan Thompson, we know he took his fair share of criticism and had his struggles all year last year as well. Tommy White coming in, he was supposed to be your big hitter, the guy you're like, okay, we're pairing him and Dylan Cruz together. He got off to a slow start. He had 2 more RBIs last night, though. He's hitting the cover off the ball. He's one of the tops in the nation, 56 RBIs now on the season. Again, I thought this offense was going to be good. I did not think it was going to be quite this good. I mentioned the 2 grand slams. Dylan Cruz, his batting average dropped last night to .495 on the season. It dropped to .495. Keep in mind, we're about halfway through SEC play, and he's still batting around .500. That is phenomenal. I mean, we knew Cruz was a good player. He's making plays in the outfield as well. I didn't think he was going to be this good, at least not this late in the season. I didn't think his average was going to be that high. If you look at the everyday starters in LSU's lineup, I count Braden Jobert as an everyday starter now. Braden Jobert has the worst batting average in the starting lineup as far as your everyday starters go, and the guy's hitting .293. So basically, your entire lineup is hitting 300 or better. You got 2 guys that are hitting over 400 right now. You're going to have 5 or 6 guys get to 10 home runs at the end of the year. This is, now again, I wasn't around in that Skip Bertman era, the mid to late 90s, you know, that gorilla ball with Brandon Larson, Eddie Furness. I was a little young for that. I didn't get to see that. This is the best LSU offense I've ever seen. As far as top to bottom lineup goes, you don't really have a weakness. I mean, Alex Milazzo's hitting a lot better. He's hitting .361 right now on the year. That's in conference and out of conference. Now, his at-bats have been limited, sure, because of Brady Neal, but catcher was kind of the spot last year where you hadn't got a lot of offensive production. You have it this year. It is quite a thing to watch. I have been impressed by it. Again, they win 16-6 against Kentucky in game 1. As far as the defense goes, let me take a second to talk about Paul Skeens. Once again, I never saw Ben McDonald play, but I did see Aaron Nola. I thought Aaron Nola was always going to be the best pitcher I ever saw in Baton Rouge. It just might be Paul Skeens now. Paul Skeens might be the best player I've ever seen step foot on the mound at LSU. The guy has a 1.69 ERA this season. That's after giving up 5 runs last night. He has a 1.69 ERA, and he gave up some runs, but LSU had such a big lead that it didn't matter. I love that they let him extend and throw a lot of pitches. I'm not usually one that's overly concerned about pitch counts. They matter, but in a situation like LSU's in right now, you have a lot of injuries in your bullpen. You're kind of piecing together your starting lineup at this point. Christian Little's getting the starting game 3. He hasn't started an SEC game or weekend series all year long. He's getting that starting game 3. That's how banged up you are. They let Skeens go 7 full innings. He threw over 100 pitches. That really saved your bullpen. That helped you a lot last night. Skeens struck out 13 batters. That's kind of become a norm for him. There's only a handful of games where he doesn't have double-digit strikeouts. Now, last weekend he didn't, but he got pulled after the 4th inning because of a rain delay. He still had 8 strikeouts in 4 innings of that game. And that's a game that he didn't perform that well in, but he still had those 8 strikeouts. I am so impressed with what this team has done. And look, LSU's been ranked number 1 all year long, so it's not a surprise that they won this game, but a lot of people forget Kentucky was number 1 in the FPI coming into this game. Now, they kind of pulled the Will Wade basketball approach when he was here of playing a couple smaller schools that was going to get your FPI up. I don't think they thought that Elon was going to be a top 25 RPI win, but it is. You just beat the team that was number 1 in the RPI in a game that you were shorthanded pitching. People didn't know how you were going to perform. You were a little bit lackluster last week against South Carolina. You beat them by 10 runs. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think LSU sweeps this series. We've been waiting for a sweep. It just seems like they haven't been able to put it together for whatever reason. This is the SEC series. They sweep. And it actually gets easier from here. Kentucky's the last ranked opponent LSU is going to play pretty much until you get to the SEC tournament. So if LSU could put together a couple sweeps, they're going to win a lot of games in the SEC. And I mentioned Skeens, but look, I think Ty Floyd has a bounce-back game. He's going to pitch tonight. Ty Floyd's going to be your Game 2 starter. He's got a 3.67 ERA on the season, and he's given up some runs. We've seen him struggle in his last couple of SEC outings, but the problem with Floyd has never been, oh, they're hitting him, his stuff's not working. He's just walking a lot of guys. If he can get his control down, we know that he has some of the best stuff on the entire team. We were waiting for him to bring in a secondary pitch. He has that this year. He's throwing multiple pitches. He's effective when he throws strikes with them. He's not a guy that you're going to hit a lot off of. So if he can fix that, LSU's going to win tonight. I think they're going to, and I don't think Ty Floyd's going to have to make that big of an impact. If LSU hits like they did last night, they're going to be tough to beat regardless of who they play. And they're peaking at the right time offensively, if you will. Going back to earlier, I mentioned their pitching staff is super banged up, but I mean, last night was something to see. I am really excited to watch the rest of this series. Like I just mentioned, Ty Floyd starting Game 2. Game 3 was a little interesting to me. They announced that Christian Little's going to start Game 3. I don't love that. I don't hate it because he has SEC starting experience. I would have went Griffin Herring, and I know you want a lefty out of the bullpen. Riley Cooper's getting healthier. He could have kind of been that guy. I just want to see what Griffin Herring can do in an extended outing. I would have liked to have seen him start, but look, the staff obviously trusts Christian Little. He has been shaky at times, but look, if Little could get you 4 or 5 solid innings on Sunday, you're going to be just fine. As long as you hit the way you did last night, this team can really make some noise. Again, I think this is when they take off. This is when they start sweeping a couple series. This is not going to be the only one they do, and they very well may not. I can't see into the future. It's just my prediction. They're going to sweep this series, and I think they're going to do it pretty easily. I was blown away with what I saw last night. I expected it from Paul Skeens because, I mean, that guy's done it all season long, but for the offense to come out after, I mean, it wasn't a bad performance against Tulane, but they were a little lackluster at times. They came out, put up 16 runs, 6 in the first inning, and, I mean, it was over after the first inning. Anybody who was watching it knew it was over. They could have scored more runs. They left a few out there. Trey Morgan hit into a few double plays, which I'm looking for him to kind of bounce back. He had a 0 for 4 night. He's been on a little bit of a slump. I mean, as much of a slump as a guy as good as Trey Morgan can get on. But I think this team's going to be fine. I once again, they're going to sweep this series. and they're going to do it easily. I think they're going to score in double digits again tonight. They might even do it in all 3 games. I mentioned the batting average on this team. Joe Bear, worst batting average of any starter, 293. And that's impressive. Nobody thought this team was going to be as good offensively as they are, and people thought they were going to be damn good. I mean, they're just that good offensively. I'm blown away by it. I'm ready to watch some more baseball, and we'll see what this weekend has to offer. We're going to take a little bit of an early break right now. Coming up on the other side of this, we got Mike Scarborough. Hunt Palmer's out. I had to lead with the baseball only because it's the lead story. The Tigers performed so well last night. We're going to have a lot of football this evening. Basically, the whole second hour is going to be football wall to wall, and we're going to talk with Mike next about some spring practice. That's coming up next on the Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Once again, brought to you by Corks Fried Fish and Shrimp. That's coming up next right here on the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets. The website's onebathandclosets.com. Tell you this every day, but David Duvall and his team, if you bring them out to customize a closet for you, they're going to start you with an application questionnaire, and they're going to say, okay, what do you have here? What do you think you need? And then they'll customize based on those answers a closet just designed for you. I know there are some folks, myself included at times, that are waking up and still dark in the bedroom and you're shining your phone light in there to try to find stuff in your closet. They can put some lights in there for you. They can do some things with some shelves and some racks, some mirrors to help you out. And the best part is, if you tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you, they're not going to charge you to rip out your current closet. They're also not going to charge you the labor to install the new one. They're just going to charge you for that unit. The website's onebathandclosets.com. Check it out. They've got all types of pictures of their great handiwork there. You can request that free consultation on the website. One Bath and Closets at onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back.
Join us on Saturday, April 22nd
at the Oshner Medical Complex at The Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown presented by Oshner.
Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com.
All right. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, That's there for you at Front to Back Boat Service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front to Back Boat Service.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty.
In for live play-by-play this weekend when the Yankees host the Twins Saturday at noon and Sunday the Astros host the Rangers at 6 p.m. Plus the Cavs host the Knicks Saturday at 5 p.m. in the NBA playoffs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back into the Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in the captain's chair today for my guy, Hunt Palmer, who is vacationing in Los Angeles. Shout out to Alondra for taking my spot so that I could jump up here. Not going to waste any time now getting to our next guest. Want to welcome onto the show from TigerBait.com, Mike Scarborough. Mike, how are you today?
Hey, man, good to be with you. I'm all good.
All right. Mike, let's jump right into it. LSU, it's spring practice season. Everyone's excited about it. I'm a big football guy. You've been out to a lot of practices. How have the Tigers looked so far?
I've been out at every practice. And I joke, but I'm so serious. For instance, tomorrow morning, Preston, who works with me, was wanting to know if I could pick him up and bring him to practice. And I'm like, man, I'm on the different side of town now, and watch last week's video footage because it's going to be the same. And in all truth, that's really what it is. We're getting the same 4 periods. The most of the drills are absolutely the same. We know the injury situation, how thin they are at multiple positions. And so now with a spring game on the horizon, I don't know how they conduct a full spring game and how they fill time for the SEC network. I joked the other night that maybe they should have get what you can between ones versus ones, because you really can't do a ones versus twos and a twos versus ones. You don't have a number 2 offensive line. Maybe have a pickleball competition between Garrett Nussmeier and Jaden Daniels.
Hey, I like that idea. No, there has been talk about, what are they going to do spring game wise, but look, you just mentioned all those injuries, and I know you're limited in what drills you see, but what players have kind of stood out to you so far?
I really like what I see in Omar Speights. I really like what I see in the wide receiver Jaylen Brown. I think you look at the quarterbacks, I think all 3 of those guys look like they've gotten significantly more muscle on them than they did last time we saw them in December and in the bowl game. They put it on in a quick amount of time. I think Ricky Collins looks significantly different than he did at Woodlawn last year. Look, all these guys are in fantastic shape, without a doubt. But I like what I see in Speights. I think Zy Alexander certainly looks the part. Does he make a seamless jump from the Southland to the SEC? Because it sure would be great if he can be a guy for you. You still have some big question marks at corner and safety, and the injury situation isn't helping you any. And, of course, once all these guys that are rehabilitating right now and you get those guys healthy, and then you get the influx of guys that are going to show up in June, you're all of a sudden going to be rich. We know the running back core is super thin right now, but then it's going to be overflowing, come summertime when everybody's 100% and everybody's there.
Yeah, look, you keep bringing up injuries, and that's certainly a big concern right now. As far as some of those injured players go, are there a few guys that could be on the verge of maybe returning to spring ball?
Well, I mean, obviously we've seen Mason Smith out there the entire time, but he's been limited. I joked with Major Burns a couple of weeks ago how he looked like he was in the best shape of his life, and then I wonder if I chased him. Now he's got an ankle injury and he's pushing around one leg on one of those carts. I don't know if it's a snake bit thing or there's something going around, but we see what's happening in baseball right now. I joked with Jay Johnson about that the other day, that he needed to bring in a holy man, and I think after last night he's probably even more interested in somebody bringing a Catholic priest or somebody to perform some sort of ceremony. But yeah, I think I don't know if there's anybody who's about to come back and be ready to go next week. If anybody's marginal, you just might as well keep them out and let them get to 100% and take it to the house.
Yeah, look, you were talking about some of the younger guys getting more reps because of injury, and you got some of that on the offensive line. So Lance Hurd was definitely a highly recruited player coming out, but we kind of saw the Will Campbell mic'd up thing. I'm sure everybody's seen it by now. That guy's an absolute leader. I mean, if he's solidly entrenched there at left tackle, that's kind of where a lot of people projected Hurd. Can Hurd find himself in a starting role somewhere else along that line this season?
He might be able to, but does he have a same trajectory as Emory Jones, who, Emory was extremely confident that he would eventually be a starter year one, and it was eating him alive last spring when he attended practice because he still needed to finish out the spring semester at Catholic High. Hurd is obviously very talented and very confident. We'll see if he can do that, but there's also a lot of other kids there. We had Brian Kelly earlier in the week, and he singled out Bo Bordelon several times in his move to center. But it's that offensive line. So you're going into another transfer portal period, and you start to wonder what positions that after going through what they've had to deal with this spring, and I think they have a much clearer idea of what they would like to hope to be able to find. But I think Brian Kelly nailed it the other day, though. He was pretty honest about it when he said it's not like you're going to go and find a difference maker or a starter in the portal. You're mostly, at this point, probably going to stumble upon guys who can just give you some depth and be role players.
Mike Scarborough here with us, TigerBait.com. Mike, you obviously put out great stuff on recruiting on TigerBait as well. And let's kind of stick with that transfer portal. You mentioned Kelly talking about a lot of depth pieces. If you think Kelly's going to look somewhere in that portal for like immediate depth help, they have injuries all over the place, but where's the one place you think he's going to look?
I think you still look at defensive back. Do you have enough there? You might think you have the numbers there at corner, but are you 100% there, particularly after you've worked with what you've worked with this spring? You got Chestnut there that isn't there to participate. You had the same thing last year with Bernard Converse. You know what he did at Oklahoma State, but you really didn't have him throughout the entire spring, and was wondering what that. In some positions, there's got to be a little bit of nervousness. So I think you still would go defense in a way if you could find another offensive lineman. In fact, he mentioned that position. If there's someone there who can make you better, you make the move because. And plus, we still don't know what current guys on the LSU roster are going to decide to hit the portal here in the next couple of weeks. It's not like LSU's not going to have any movement themselves. I'm starting to wonder what is the total once the dust settles and everybody's there and enrolled and starting to attend class in August. What is the final number of scholarship players on the roster? How much closer are they to 85? In year two of Brian Kelly, the Brian Kelly era.
Do you think he's going to try to fill that full 85?
No, I don't. There's a bunch of guys there that have 3 years of eligibility left who can actually absolutely play SEC football, and it gets him there, sure. But he's just going to fill up with a bunch of guys that just to get to that number.
Now, Mike, we've been talking about injuries in the secondary along the offensive line, stuff like that. They're paper thin at running back as well. What's the rotation kind of looked like there so far? I mean, I know you got Trey Holly and Noah Kane. Is that really it right now in terms of scholarship backs? I mean, I know Williams has been a little limited.
Yep, that's it. And, we're going to see what Emory Jones ends up doing with whatever hoops he's got to jump through academically. Caleb Jackson, of course, is still at Liberty and running track. He's a beast. We saw him at practice last week, and, man, he looks good. 212, 215 pounds, whatever he is right now. Usually runs on his best day at 10.6, 100 meters. And I'm curious to see if he's going to qualify for the state track meet. Saw him last year and at that meet, and he got off to a stumbling start and still ran a 10.6.
Yeah, Caleb's quite the athlete. I actually coached Caleb in high school. I used to coach at Liberty. I was the QB coach for about 2 years there. Great kid, Caleb is. As far as Trey Holly goes, the other freshman running back they brought in, he has been out there at spring. How's he looked?
Yeah, he looks awesome. Absolutely love him. Brian Kelly, was the last press conference, or maybe there was one before. I think it was the last one where he mentioned about getting him more involved. And the upside of being thin there is the amount of work that he's able to get, particularly learning blocking schemes. I think the sky's the limit if he can be a pass blocker from that running back spot. I think he's got great hands. I think he runs really good routes for a running back. I think he's going to be a future star. I think both he and Caleb can guys who push for playing time or have significant playing time. Do both of those guys get a lot of playing time this fall, or does one of them, or is it a 1.5 situation? But I tend to think Trey Holly might have a bit of an advantage just because of being there in the spring.
Yeah, spring certainly gives you an advantage. Look, all the hype is always around the freshman running backs, and of course Holly and Jackson are going to be great. But the one guy that kind of got lost in the shuffle last year was Noah Kane. He kind of struggled out the gate. People expected big things, but he really had a solid finish to the season. How's he looked out there?
Yeah, he looks. I think he looks like he did towards the end of the year. There's no critiquing or discounting his seniority and amount of college football reps that he's played in his career, and to have him back for another year, I think is big. I think at this point with John Emery, if he gives you anything, fine. But in reality, you approach that position like it's everybody and but him, and we'll see if he ends up getting it done. I was frankly shocked that he actually came back, but I don't know what all he's got to do. But once everybody's healthy, Frank Wilson's got a ton to work with. And, of course, we know the great story of Josh Williams and where he came from and where he's at now. And once he's 100%, he's going to be the guy. So, but I think you've got some fresh legs that are going to be there right behind him, But what does that depth chart look like come mid-season? Is one of those freshmen supplanted one of the upperclassmen as far as getting more of the reps? Because, there was times last year where Amani Goodwin showed some really nice flashes. If he could stay healthy for an extended period of time, I still think that he's got a chance to be a really, really good back.
Yeah, is there any word on his injury? I know he's out the entire spring, but it just seems like he's been injured the whole time he's here. What's the deal with Goodwin right now?
Yeah, we haven't had any real updates on him, but hopefully we'll get something. We get what do we get? No, we get players tomorrow. We'll get BK again next week.
All right, look, it's spring ball, and I know it's tiring, but people are going to get mad if I don't ask. I got to ask about the QBs. The combination of Nussmeier and Daniels, it has a lot of people exciting. Both of them, how have they looked throwing the ball this spring?
Well, again, we shoot a lot of the quarterbacks. It's that same drill where they've got four, dummies down on the ground, and they negotiate them and throw left, throw right. And for that little bit that we see, we also see them doing a little bit of hurry up. And going down the field. But other than that, because they're so thin, we unlike last spring and early fall, we haven't gotten a full practice where we get, 20 or 30 minutes with cameras up and cameras off and then get to stay the rest of it because they're really not doing any scrimmaging or anything like that. They're doing situational work. But what we can see when we are there, they both look very sharp. But my prediction stands that whether it's message boards, talk radio, YouTube chats, whatever it is, that the Garrett Nussmeier, or you're either pro Nuss or pro Daniels, and that war amongst fans is going to get to a fever pitch by the end of July. And if you say anything really nice about Jaden Daniels, the Nussmeier people get mad at you, and vice versa.
Yeah, it is a thing of beauty, quarterback controversies. I love them, and it's not even really a controversy. I mean, Daniels is going to be the starter, but you got to love where it's like you can't just support both guys. But speaking of...
Buddy, we do these post-practice reports on our YouTube channel, and Buddy said we were just, ripping on who might Brian Kelly bring the SEC media days, and we said, well, it's got to be Jaden Daniels. Well, just by saying that he'd be bringing Jaden Daniels, the Nussmeier people got mad.
I'm sure my guy Buddy, I'm sure he appreciated that.
Yeah, the Nussmeier people meaning the fans that are on the Nuss bus, and anything but Nussmeier is a mistake.
It's sticking with QBs. How does Ricky Collins look physically? He looks big in the videos. I haven't made it out there though.
He does. I mean, he really is filled out, and I keep saying, a lot of people just think he's a guy that's in between when you think forward as to what the quarterback roster is going to look like, and with Colin Hurley going to be there midterm, and Nussmeier being the guy 100% to be the guy for 24, and just feeling like Ricky's just going to be caught in the middle of both those guys. I tell them not so fast. Now, Brian Kelly does say that he's drinking through a fire hose right now, trying to grasp everything, and undoubtedly that's true. But he's a heck of an athlete. He can run, and I think probably the biggest knock on him coming out of on was his throwing motion, and I didn't want to shorten up that release and him being able to get it off quicker, but I wouldn't be so quick to discount him for the future. Not saying he's going to be a guy in the next 2 years, but he's got a lot of ability. I'm anxious to see how he grows in the next year to 18 months.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned that, him kind of being an in-between guy between Nussmeier, and then everybody's already excited about Colin Hurley. Ricky Collins, no slouch either. But, Mike, we've talked about a lot of young guys. If you could pick one young guy this year to just have a breakout year in 2023 that maybe a lot of people aren't talking about right now, who is that guy for you?
Man, is it okay for me to say Aaron Anderson is a young guy?
Yeah, counts. First year on the team.
Yeah, I might go him. And if you don't want to go with a guy who's actually in his second year of college ball, maybe a Jaylen Brown. I think one of those guys.
Is he getting healthier?
Yeah, I just like the way he looks, man. And shoot, I think. Look, there's multiple receivers there that could do some real damage for you. I like that wide receiver group is still extremely strong. Landon Arbeid, he's another guy. I mean, you lose Butte, but I think that was an addition by subtraction in the end.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Mike. But before I let you go, what is this team's ceiling? I mean, you think national title contender this year?
I tend to wonder, is there a possibility that this team is better than last year's team, but the record ends up being the same or near the same?
Yeah, I got you.
But that Florida State game, again, is very important. And you win that game, and then you're well on your way to where you need to be the rest of the way. I think the schedule obviously sets up better with what you've got at home. And, of course, we've got to see who the defensive line coach is going to be, but I don't know that that's going to be change things drastically. But they've just got to get everybody 100% healthy, and I don't think that's going to be an issue. But there's going to be some interesting teams throughout the SEC with some different storylines. But can LSU go 10-2 or 11-1 and improve on last year's regular season? I think so. But also, again, I think this team could end up being actually better than last year, but end up with a similar record at the end. I was pretty adamant this time last year that they'd be 8-4, maybe even 7-5, but I went with 8-4. I tend to think the state bet probably a lot of people are going to either go 9-3 or 10-2 this year.
Yeah, it's so funny. You mentioned the importance of the Florida State game. It's hard to think that a school of LSU's stature has lost 3 straight season openers. If they can win and not play catch up, I agree with you. They could have a good season. Mike, before I get you out of here, what do you got for us on TigerBait.com?
Got a lot of team coverage, baseball, of course, basketball recruiting is going in a big way, both men and women. I think all the stuff that we've been seeing in the grapevine about women's basketball recruiting and the transfer portal, I think the dam is going to break on that within a week, and it's truly the rich getting richer for Kim Mulkey and that. And of course, we saw the 7-foot center from Nevada this morning for Matt McMahon, and he's got some other guys as well. But I just this Kim Mulkey LSU women's basketball is about to be an absolute beast, because with the transfer portal, the amount of notoriety, the marketing, the sexy factor, whatever you want to call it, you can just see with the transfer portal and NIL that, is it going to be a deal where her and Gary Reedus and the whole staff just to get to sit back and basically build themselves a dream team every year, as star players that are all Americans from across the country decide, you know what, I want to go to Baton Rouge and play for Kim Mulkey and play for a national championship. And she adds one of those two every year to number 1 ranked high school recruiting classes.
Yeah, I'm sure the people in Baton Rouge are excited about it. Mike, I've kept you long enough. Thank you so much for coming on. That's Mike Scarborough, TigerBait.com. Go check out his stuff. Mike, thanks a lot.
All right. Have a good weekend. Thanks.
Yes, sir. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to be right back. On the other side of it, me and Mike, obviously, there talked a lot about injuries and how thin this team is in multiple positions. We come back, I'm going to talk a little bit of injuries and tell you which young guy on offense and defense can make the most of his opportunities getting those extra reps in spring. That's coming up right after this on the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Telling you every day about our friends over at Rally Cap Brewing Company. It's born right here in Baton Rouge, handmade for the home team. And y'all know me as a beer drinker. Y'all know that I kind of stay in my box. And Rally Cap has allowed me to kind of get out of that. I think there are a lot of people that listen to this show that are like, yeah, I kind of am staying in line with what Hunt's thinking in terms of beer drinking. Give Rally Cap a shot. They got 14 beers on tap at their brewery right here in Baton Rouge off of Segan Lane near Airline Highway. Head on over there and watch some baseball. Enjoy some of their awesome beers. I love the first pitch. You can find it at Alec Box Stadium. You cannot miss it. And it's delicious. It is light. It is refreshing. It's great as the weather warms up. If you're more into craft beers with a lot more intricacy, your sours, your stouts, all that, they've got it for you at Rally Cap. It's family-friendly. It's pet-friendly. And they're offering tours over at their brewery, which is really cool. And you can also find them all over town. I was in the grocery store today at Whole Foods picking up some lunch. Saw Rally Cap right there in Whole Foods. Handmade for the home team. It is Rally Cap Brewing.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I drove myself to the ER, had heart surgery, and drove myself home 24 hours later, feeling fine. Starting running again after the procedure, I'm getting excited thinking about it. I had no pain, nothing. I felt great. And right then and there, I was like, oh my God, I'm back. I'm back. It's just amazing.
Ochsner Health. Long live you.
Bayou Ford has $2,000 off MSRP, plus 2.9% APR for 84 months on new 22 Ford Expeditions. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TV to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all.
Join us for the Monday edition of Hanny Time. We'll recap LSU's series against Kentucky and the beginning of the NBA playoffs. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back into the Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show here on 104.5 ESPN. Want to remind you that every Friday we are sponsored by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Look, I've personally been to Cork's. It is awesome. It's right down the street on Government right there at North Foster. Almost shares a parking lot with Superior Grill. It's drive-through fast food. I know what you're thinking. I don't want drive-through fast food. I've had it. I've been there, done that. It is not at all what you're thinking. It is authentic Cajun fried catfish. I was blown away the first time I made it out there. It is excellent. The prices are reasonable. Their fried shrimp is phenomenal as well. They give you this little sweet roll, almost like one of those old Ryan's rolls. Go out there, check it out, give them a shot. It's Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Okay, we just talked to Mike last segment, and we talked spring football, and we mainly talked injuries because, frankly, LSU has a lot of them right now. I want to talk right now about, because of those injuries, what young guy can make the most of his opportunities, because these young guys are getting reps. I got one on offense, one on defense. My offensive guy, it's a guy that Mike was actually just gushing over. It's going to be Trey Holly, the freshman running back. Look, LSU has a lot of injuries at running back right now. Josh Williams, he was your guy last year. He's been limited pretty much all spring long, still pretty limited. I mean, you heard Mike, the only two fully healthy guys right now is Noah Cain and Trey Holly. You got Goodwin in that backfield as well. He hasn't played all spring. He's been hurt his entire career. I think Armani Goodwin is a super talented player, but best ability is availability. He's never available, so I don't really know what the situation is there. John Emery's dealing with his own issues. Academics, not participating in spring practice right now, pretty much away from the team altogether. It's a new offseason, same story there with John Emery. And then you have fellow running back, freshman Caleb Jackson, but Caleb has not made it to camp yet. You heard Mike last segment. Caleb's running track. He's probably going to qualify for that state meet. So right now, Trey Holly has a leg up on him, and he can really be that guy. You go watch Trey Holly's high school tape. Everybody's like, he played for a 3A school. I don't care about that. 3A means nothing but how many people went to your school. This guy can absolutely play football. In my opinion, I follow recruiting pretty closely. He's been the best running back in the state of Louisiana for the last 3 years. I think Trey Holly has the ability to be that good. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Mike, last segment, talked a lot about the guy's pass blocking ability. And if he gets good at that, he could turn into an every down back for this team. We know he's a low center of gravity. He's about 5'8", 200, 205 right now. Bowling ball type running back. Very similar to what Clyde Edwards-Helaire was his first year on campus. And we all know how his career here turned out. That's who he reminds me of, but he's actually a lot faster and probably more athletic than Clyde. I think that with those reps in practice, he's going to show this coaching staff more and more of what he's made of, and I think he's going to make a lot of that opportunity. As far as defense goes, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm not going to pick one particular player. I'm going to pick a position, and that's a DBs. But in particular, I'm taking LaTerrence Welch and Javian Toviano. Now, Toviano's been the rave all camp. They've talked about how great he is. He was a big recruit coming out of high school, but LaTerrence Welch, kind of a forgotten man in this defensive back rotation. He was a big recruit coming out of high school last year, played pretty sparingly, very little action at all in 2022. But with the amount of injuries they have in the secondary right now, I mean, just listen to this. Greg Brooks, he's been dealing with an ankle injury. He's been limited most of spring. They just ruled out Major Burns last week for the entire spring due to an injury to his ankle. He's been shut down the rest of spring. Also, your two starting corners from last year, Jark Bernard Converse, Mekhi Garner, they were both really solid for you. Both of them are gone. Converse was a grad transfer. Mekhi Garner kind of surprised a little bit of people when he opted for that NFL draft, but he's no longer on campus, regardless of what you think about that decision. Then you bring in your transfer from Syracuse, Deuce Chestnut. He's had a solid career so far. He started a lot of games at the Power 5 level. He's not participating in spring. He had an injury very early on. He has not been out there at all. So while you do have some depth there, all that depth is injured right now, and the DB spot's up for grabs. Toviano is going to get on the field regardless. He's that talented, and he's also a guy that hybrid role, whether it's safety, whether it's corner. But LaTerrence Welch, he's got the ability to really take a hold of one of these outside corner spots. He's tall. He's got the long arms. He's your prototypical corner. As far as the defense goes, I think LaTerrence Welch could make the most out of these reps at spring practice. We'll see how much playing time he gets come fall, but right now he's a guy that can certainly get some more playing time. Okay, we're running a little long. We're going to take another timeout. When we come back, everybody else has done it, so I might as well do it too. We're talking New Orleans Pelicans, giving you my thoughts on Zion. That's coming up next here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is on Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has $2,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% APR for 84 months on new 22 Ford Expeditions. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back. Join us on Saturday, April 22nd at the Ochsner Medical Complex at The Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks, Jambalaya Showdown, presented by Oshner.
Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
All right, let's say ah.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Recapping Game 1, LSU, Kentucky. Setting the stage for the weekend. The Riot Radio Hours return. Join us for Friday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back into the final segment, hour 1 here, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp here with you, filling in for a vacationing Hunt Palmer. He's probably in line at some children's ride at Disneyland right about now. That's where he's going today. I think he's seeing Cubs Dodgers tomorrow, but we're excited. We're having fun here on this Friday. Okay, talked a lot of football the last 2 segments, so for those of you who are in pain, we're going to talk a little bit of Pelicans right now. I want to shortly recap their season, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on Zion because, well, everybody else is, and I got a take on it as well. So they finished the season 42-41, missed the playoffs after losing that play-in game to the Thunder. You guys know the story, but injuries really killed this team. If you remember, mid-January, this team was number 1 in the Western Conference record-wise. I think coaching kind of played a role in it as well. I mean, Willie Green's rotations were odd to me. Kyra Lewis was the first player off the bench the other night, and he hadn't played in 2 weeks. Josh Richardson taking away minutes from Dyson Daniel. Daniel struggled, but Richardson hadn't exactly lit the world on fire, and Daniels is probably a better defender anyway. So, you know, there's enough criticism to go around, but one guy deserves more criticism than the other, and you know who that is. It's Zion Williamson. Full disclosure, I know you can say, oh, well, Taylor, that's easy to say that now. I would not have drafted Zion coming out of Duke if I was the Pelicans. Now, look, I'm not a GM. I mean, what the heck do I know? I would have taken R.J. Barrett. I mean, he's been okay, but, I mean, who knows? Who knows if he would have worked out here in New Orleans. But if you remember in college, he had injury issues there, and it's not just injuries. Injuries happen. Okay, they happen to everybody. It's a part of sports that you really can't avoid. But remember when he stepped through his shoe and he supposedly hurt his ankle? I never really saw his ankle roll, but that's beside the point. He was out for like a month because of that. And his whole NBA career has been like that. He has a minor injury. He's out for 2 months. He doesn't want to play. Now he's saying, oh, well, I'm cleared. I just don't feel like Zion. Well, hell, how long have you been cleared for? I mean, have you been cleared since February? We don't know. All they told us is you're not ready to play. Now you're saying, oh, well, I've been cleared. I'm good to go. And then you go out there and you do windmill dunks before the most important game of the season, a game that you chose that you were not going to play in. That's ridiculous. It's a weak move. The problem the Pelicans have is they can't move on from it. They paid him too much money, which was a mistake to offer him that rookie extension. And you say, well, Taylor, if you don't pay him, somebody else will. Let somebody else pay him. Let that become their headache. It's hard enough to win in the NBA. You don't need extra headache. You don't need extra baggage. And that's kind of what Zion is right now. He's baggage that the Pelicans can't get rid of right now. You hear complaints about, oh, well, he's got a weight clause in his contract. Do you know who has weight clauses in their contract? People who are fat. If you are not overweight, you're not going to have a weight clause in your contract. If I played for the Pelicans and they're like, hey, you have a weight clause in your contract and I'm not overweight, cool. Let me go in. Let me show you how well I'm keeping the weight off. They would not have put a weight clause in his contract if he did not have a weight problem. So the guy's out of shape. He's not in the right frame of mind, whatever you want to call it. Then he goes out there and he's like, oh, I can play at this weight. But clearly that was not the agreed upon contract that you, your agent, and your lawyers all signed. So it's hard to feel bad for the guy. I don't know what the Pelicans are going to do. They can't cut ties with him. They can't trade him. He certainly doesn't seem like he wants to be there. He doesn't want to play. It's a bad situation altogether. But we're going to move on to happier things in the second hour. It's pretty much going to be wall-to-wall football. We'll start off with a little Saints. That's coming up right after this. Again, Friday show brought to you by Cork's Fried Cajun Fish and Seafood. Coming up next, Hunt Palmer Show right after this.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. In Baton Rouge. Ah, the rain, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back.
Join us on Saturday, April 22nd
at the Ochsner Medical Complex at the Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown, presented by Ochsner.
Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com.
All right. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. There's an NBA play-in doubleheader tonight with coverage starting at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. The Heat host the Bulls, then the Timberwolves host the Thunder. That second game is also on ESPN. The playoffs get started this weekend. Kevin Durant and the Suns open their first-round series at home against the Clippers Sunday night. ESPN's Nick Friedel.
They better do it now because they may not get another great chance that's in front of them at the moment. And I can tell you, I haven't been around that group the last few weeks. There is a confidence around them with Kevin, knowing that they believe he's the final piece in the moment.
Nick Friedel on Greeny. The San Francisco Giants will sign opening day starter Logan Webb to a 5-year, $90 million contract extension. From the NFL, free agent linebacker Bud Dupree will sign a 1-year deal with the Falcons. He was cut by the Titans in March. And at the Women's Hockey World Championships, Team USA plays a semifinal game tomorrow against the Czech Republic.
Coming up Monday, I'll tell you which team is already in trouble after losing Game 1 of their series. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, Monday morning, 6 Eastern, ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPNU.
Now, Hunt Palmer. Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
This is not Hunt Palmer. This is Taylor Sharp filling in for a vacationing Mr. Hunt Palmer. He's going to be out there watching the Cubbies play the Dodgers tomorrow. He's probably in line for Dumbo or something with his kid at Disneyland right about now. So I'm sure Hunt is just jumping for joy at the moment. Kicking off the 2 o'clock hour here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Reminder, every Friday brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp right here on Government Street, a great seafood restaurant. Joining us right now to kick off the 2 o'clock hour, John Hendricks from Boot Crew Media. John, what's going on, man?
Hey, not too much, man. Just, enjoying a nice, beautiful weather day before all this rain supposedly hits tomorrow.
Yeah, so you messaged me yesterday, told me you were camping. Where did you go?
Went to Bogachita out in Franklinton.
possibility?
Well, I never say never. I mean, trading back is usually not their MO. Trading up is usually something that they love to do, just having that aggressive tendency. And so, look, it's going to be interesting because, the thing is this year, I think they can stay put and be able to wait and get their guy. But, look, I think really what you look at is I would expect them to trade up in the top 15. I think once you get past picks 18, 19, 20, maybe they start having a conversation and saying, hey, this guy is kind of falling for us. Do we make a move to try to get up to get to that spot? I don't think there's anything that says, oh, you have to make a move to get this particular person. Because, look, I think they can get their guy at 29. But I wouldn't think, based on their draft trends and history, trading down is not really their bread and butter. It's trading up, being aggressive. But they have a lot more picks to work with, and they do have some areas that they need to start thinking about and assessing, saying, hey, some of our guys are getting a little bit older. The depth needs to be shored up a little bit. So, look, I'd say trade up, if anything, but trade down. If they do that, I might, fall out of my chair because it's really never happened.
Yeah, no, it's certainly rare air. Now, obviously, you mentioned you'd like to see them go in the trenches, whether it's D-line or O-line in the first round. They also have that early pick in the second round at 40, about 8 picks or so in that second round. What could you see the Saints doing early in the second?
Yeah, look, I think, if they get the defensive tackle at 29, then I could see them getting somebody in secondary. I think linebacker is probably an underrated need because you lost Caden Ellis. Obviously Pete Werner has been great when he's available and such, but that's obviously concerned. DeMario's getting a little bit older. You can even make an argument for defensive end because Cam's getting a little bit older too. And so I know Cam's still performing at a pretty strong level. But, look, I think there's a lot of different ways that they could do it. I don't know if I'd say, again, a quarterback, I just don't like the idea of that unless there's a different vision for Jameis Winston. And then obviously if you look at a pass catcher or, again, wide receiver tight end, I would like because another skill weapon in the offense for Derek Carr is definitely smart. And then, again, edge guys are obviously somebody they look at, linebacker, any type of area that you look at besides corner, I think that's really where they're really set. You might even throw running back in the conversation, although I think they can wait till later part of day 2, day 3 to address that need for sure with that 71st overall pick.
So you mentioned receiver. Is that a possibility for the Saints this early on? I know you're talking about it there just a little bit because, look, you obviously have Chris Olave and you have Michael Thomas back, but we don't really know what that means. The guy is hurt all the time. You got the quarterback in place now. Do you think they may, if they have a guy they really like, they could pull the trigger on a receiver as early as round 2?
Well, that's why I threw out Dalton Kincaid because I like the fact of him being a pass-catching weapon. There's something the Saints, look, they got Juwan Johnson. They brought him back. That was smart. Obviously, you've got Taysom Hill. They've got a better idea and understanding how to use him going forward. And then you still have Adam Troutman. But beyond that, I think it's anybody's game. And so, what they have there is pretty good, but they don't have that guy like a Travis Kelce, a George Kittle, somebody that can really just change the complexity of this offense. And so that's why I mentioned guys like Kincaid in that bucket. And, for a wide receiver, you're right. I don't think they should put all those eggs in the Michael Thomas basket. That's one of the reasons why they did get a guy like a Brian Edwards just kind of help because they were missing a guy that can make those contested catches last year. So, look, I think a wide receiver would make sense. I feel like there might be more pressing needs at 29 and 40 to address. But, again, I wouldn't rule it out for sure. But, look, there's a ton of them. I like Perry, the guy from Wake Forest. I really think he's going to be a stud at the next level. I think somebody can get on day 3. I think this is a fairly strong running back class, strong, wide receiver, not outside the top guys. I think you can get some good value in the middle round for sure. But, would it shock me if they get a possession guy to add to what they have? Absolutely not. I think their depth is pretty good, but last year and the year before, you got to have some good, strong depth because even your best laid plans can go, and I wouldn't bank on Michael Thomas being 100% at the start, and I think that's something that they got to keep an eye on.
Yeah, you mentioned running back just a second ago, and by now everyone knows about the uncertainty around Alvin Kamara and his off-the-field issues. Is he going to be suspended? Is he not? They signed Jamal Williams, who I think is a really solid back, but if Kamara does get suspended, it's really Jamal Williams for the first 5 or 6 games, and then what else behind him. I agree with you. I think running back's deep enough to where you don't have to reach early in the draft. But if they do wait till about the mid-rounds, who's a few guys you'd really like to see the Saints take a shot on at the running back spot?
Yeah, look, I think third round. I know Tyjae Spears, the Tulane guy, is obviously somebody that's really risen up a lot of people. Hometown guy, loves the Saints. That would be kind of a match made in heaven. I like Gray from Oklahoma. I felt like a whole bunch of these different guys. And look, here's the thing: is a lot of people forget about Eno Benjamin. I think he's an option looking forward to things that he came in after his stint with Arizona, and then obviously a short stint with Texas. And then, just had some chances to get into the offense. But look, again, I think there's a bunch of middle round guys, like that mold, like a Gray or McIntosh from Georgia is another one. Just some of those that fit the mold, and I think there's value there. And so, again, most of the guys that you go and talk about round one, probably it's Bijan, and then it's Jahmyr Gibbs, right? I think those are the top 2 guys in this draft at the running. I don't think they'll use any of that first-round pick. But, here's the other side and thought of it is that Alvin Kamara is 28, or he'll be 28 in July. I'm not saying you got to look for his replacement, and his production last year was a little bit down. The year before that, just wasn't as strong as what he put together in that 2020 season and such. So I think it's things that you just got to assess, right, if you're the Saints. And I think everything can be on the table here, but if you look at the middle round, some of those guys that I mentioned that I would really think would make a lot of sense for the Saints team.
Well, yeah, and you're right. And not only is Kamara 28, Jamal Williams is right there with him, about the same age. So, yeah, they're going to need someone, and I agree with you. I think it should be in this draft rather than, signing a 1 or 2 year rental in free agency, a more veteran guy. A young running back could certainly help. Shifting a little bit more towards free agency, I know the big period's pretty much over, but, is there a guy you could see the Saints grabbing maybe right before the season, at least a depth piece or something?
Yeah, I think there's other players to be, take a look at. Guys that are still out there that are free agents, the guys like the Jarvis Landrys of the world, they're going to latch onto a team before free agency. I don't know what happens with Mark Ingram. And I'm not saying the Saints should re-sign either of those guys, but those are the types of guys that, you see every year that you wait until free agency, the main wave, and free agency is always ongoing. But once the draft concludes, teams have a better idea of where their holes need to be filled. They're going to get undrafted guys. Prime example last year, the Saints brought David Johnson in, a rookie minicamp and or different types of camps to try outs and all those things. And he ended up latching on later in the season. But there's always those guys. And, even Odell Beckham Jr., him signing with the Ravens the other day. And, that's just one of those types of moves. So I think there are tons out there still that don't have a home right now that are paying attention to see what happens with the draft. And that's kind of their outlook going forward. And so I expect the Saints to be in that conversation, in that play, and find out what continues to shake out, because there's still some areas where they could shore up some depth. And there's still a lot of their guys that are not found homes. Guys like T.J. Williams, Daniel Sorensen, a whole bunch of them that are free agents right now that have not found new homes. They could end up back with the Saints. I think those are some of the moves that we look at that, have a strong possibility of happening.
All right, now, John, as far as this upcoming season goes, I would say far and away the Saints have the best quarterback in the NFC South right now. As far as this division goes, what damage can the Saints do? Are they going to win this division, do you think, in 2023?
I think they've got to be the favorite, right? And look, I like the moves Atlanta's making. I like the moves the Panthers are making. But the problem with both of those teams is their quarterback situation is very cloudy at best, especially if you're, talking about Atlanta. They're making some strong moves defensively. The problem is, are they committed to Desmond Ridder? Do they really like that concept? And then with Carolina, those types of things, I don't think they're setting at the quarterback position either. I think there's just too many variables there to say, okay, this team would be the favorite for the division versus the Saints, which are looking really strong on paper, especially getting Derek Carr in the mix. And they don't have to be super studs and superheroes, but Atlanta's a team to keep an eye on. They're going to be interesting to see what they do as far as the quarterback spot. Tampa's kind of an afterthought. You can't sell me on a Baker Mayfield trying to revive and pick up where Tom Brady left off. So I think they're kind of outside looking in, if you will. And so, again, we'll have to pay attention to see what happens there. But I think New Orleans has to be the favorite for the division, and they need it too, because they're 2 years removed from the playoffs now. And so they're just too talented. of a team, and this is really some proving ground and proving block for Dennis Allen.
Okay, look, so sticking with their performance this season, we know that they're trying to move into a new era after the end of the Breeze and Peyton era, and there was a lot of outside noise last year about the performance of Dennis Allen, how confident the Saints were in him. This is year 2 under Allen, his second full year as the head coach. Is this a make or break year for him in New Orleans?
I don't know if I'd say make or break, but I think there's marked improvement that's expected. Look, everybody I've talked to, and even being up there, the thing about DA, I know he gets a pretty bad rap on some people, and I don't know if it's all fair criticism, just because, the guy is very smart, he's very intelligent. The way the Saints run their organization, he's a no-nonsense type of guy. He's not going to sit here and fill some type of prospective free agent with full of bull and sell him on this amazing vision. He's going to tell it like it is. This is what they expect out of New Orleans, and I think there's a lot of respect that comes with it. Now, last year there were some problems, I think, where you go in a situation where you take over for somebody and you were working alongside of peers for years, like Chris Richard or Ryan Nielsen or all these other guys, and then suddenly you're over these guys and you're the head coach, and there's different philosophies, there's difference of opinions on how you want to run things. And so I think that's kind of where some of the rubber meets the road, so to speak. But I think this year he's got complete control here. He's hired some of his guys, a lot of his guys, taking in his quarterback. I think the expectation is he definitely does a lot better this season. But, if they come out limping and starting slow, I think you might have to turn the pressure cooker up a little bit. But everything that I know, Gail Benson supports him. Mickey Loomis has his support. This is a guy that they know where the shortfalls were last year, and that they feel confident in his ability to turn around. But if you're a fan of the Saints, I know that's hard to sell when you saw what you saw last year. And, the thing is, just stay the course and see what happens. And I think that he can really turn this team around. And I'm not saying Super Bowl or anything, but start with the division and then see how he does in the postseason.
Okay, John, well, you've certainly inspired a lot of confidence in me with what you just laid out there. Before I let you go, give me a prediction record-wise win-loss for this team in 2023.
Yeah, I think 10-7 sounds right until I see otherwise. I wouldn't say 11 or 12. The division seems a little bit stronger. I think their opponents, some of the ones that have shaked out, there are going to be some tough games on the schedule. There's going to be some easier games on the schedule, and I like the divisions that they're playing this year. I think there are some that, may shock you a little bit, but, I think they could have a ceiling of getting to 11, maybe 12, if they can shore up some of these pieces in the draft, but they're going to have to do that, right? And so right now I think 10 is probably strong. There's some question marks, on the back end, making sure health is the priority. Are they going to be able to generate a pass rush, similar to Peyton Turner, the guy that pressures on a lot? What happens with Alvin Kamara, and when does it happen? There's just a lot of variables there, but I think this team can at least squeeze out 10 games to win. I think they can get higher than that, depending on, what they get from Carr, if Thomas is back. There's just a lot of variables, but they do anything less than 9, I tell you, it's another wasted season.
All right, John, that's all the time we're going to have today, man. Thank you so much for joining me, taking time out of your camping trip to jump on with me. I can't thank you enough. Have a good one, bud.
All right, bud. Thanks. You too.
That was John Hendricks, Boot Crew Media there, giving us some insight on all things Saints, from the draft to free agency to what he thinks this upcoming season is going to look like. He's a little bit more confident than me, but we'll see if our guy John isn't right. Maybe the Saints can grab that division this year. We're going to take a quick time out on the other side of this break, though. I'm going to tell you how there's a potential for the Saints to maybe have a little bit different of a training camp in this preseason. We'll talk about that next here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The NBA playoffs are here, and you can turn crossovers into cash with FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN right now and place a $5 bet. You'll get an instant $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Got great promotions every day on the app. It's safe and secure, and the best part, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet your first $5. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Bonus issues and non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you or someone who has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Not only did she tell us, but this young lady, stand up. And this young lady,
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's
Hey, Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff. We're on campus at the Cook Hotel and Conference Center at LSU for the Monday evening edition of Game Time. It's Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're not listening to Hunt Palmer. You're listening to Taylor Sharp today, sitting in for a vacationing Hunt Palmer, my guy out in the great city of Los Angeles, if you will. He's going to go catch the Cubs lose to the Dodgers tomorrow, and him being a big Cubs fan, he's at Disneyland today, I believe is what he told me. I'm sure Hunt Palmer is just having a great time. I can picture him now with his Mickey ears on. Maybe we'll try to get a pic of that for you guys. So I teased before we went to break that the Saints offseason or their training camp could be a little bit more different than in years past. And here's why. The Saints could be on Hard Knocks. And I know that's going to trigger a lot of Saints fans out there. Fans seem to hate when their team is on Hard Knocks. But they're one of 4 teams that qualify for this year's Hard Knocks. So I didn't really know this, but in order to be eligible for Hard Knocks, they must not have a first-year head coach. Check. Dennis Allen's in his second year. They have to have been in the playoffs in the last 2 years. Check. And they have to have not been on Hard Knocks for the past 10 years. The Saints have never been on Hard Knocks, so they check all those boxes. The 4 teams are the New Orleans Saints, the New York Jets, the Chicago Bears, and the Washington Commanders. Those are the potential hard knock suitors. Now, again, the only one of those four to have been on it is the New York Jets. They were in it in, I believe it was 2010. The Saints, Bears, Redskins never been on Hard Knocks. I think it very well could be the Saints. Now, argument's sake, this all depends on what Aaron Rodgers does. If he signs with the Jets before they make this decision, then it's going to be the New York Jets. They're going to want to cover Aaron Rodgers, the biggest free agent signing this offseason. But if for whatever reason that deal falls through, or they decide to pull the trigger and name one of these teams before Rodgers finally makes up his mind, who knows when that'll be, then it very well could be the Saints. I actually think they're a perfect choice. I would pick them whether Aaron Rodgers is on the Jets or not, but they're not going to do that. Maybe it's just because I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers guy. But look, the Saints could be the ultimate redemption, rebuild story, if you will. They're trying to replace Drew Brees and Sean Payton. What will the Dennis Allen era be like after a disappointing first season? They signed a big-time QB this offseason in Derek Carr, and while he's not a big personality, he's still a big-time name. He would draw views into that. They could cover Kamara's off-the-field issues. You know they're going to talk about that. They signed Jamal Williams. If you guys have never heard an interview with Jamal Williams, the guy's hilarious. In my opinion, he's probably the funniest player in the NFL. You already have Cam Jordan, who's a soundbite king. Jamal Williams could one-up him. He could be perfect for those mic'd-up moments. Hard Knocks, if you've ever watched it. I watch it most years. I didn't catch it last season. They actually did a preseason and an end season with the Cardinals. Didn't catch that at all. But they always look for those interesting storylines. I think everything I just listed, the Saints are kind of a perfect fit for this. Now, I know people are like, well, I don't want my team to be on there because it interferes with stuff. It does. It certainly does. And maybe the Saints will not agree to be on this. I know that the teams, they don't particularly like it, but someone who doesn't work in the front office as a fan, you can sit there and say, well, I don't want my team on Hard Knocks. You know that if the New Orleans Saints were on Hard Knocks, you would watch it. You would watch it because we down here, we are football hungry. We grasp onto every bit of football news and consumption that we could take in, and to see it live, a team you grew up watching, you would tune into Hard Knocks. I like the show Hard Knocks, and I mean, I'm not in the front office, so it makes no difference to me. I would like to see it, though. They've never been on it. I think the Jets should automatically be disqualified for being on it. I know it's been over 10 years, but I think they should probably go through the entire league before they have a repeat. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys have been on there 3 times. Now, I mean, everyone knows Dallas Cowboys, best franchise in professional sports, so we understand that, but sure, I'm getting some eye rolls for that one. But I got to let my Cowboys fandom show every now and then. But, yeah, I think it could be cool. Maybe the Saints could do it. I don't know if they're going to agree to this, but it's something that's kind of been popping up in recent weeks. And, again, if Aaron Rodgers signs with the Jets, they're going to pick him. But, I mean, is Aaron Rodgers that great in front of a camera? I mean, I get it. It's the New York market. It's Aaron Rodgers. But, I mean, Jamal Williams, Cam Jordan, those 2 guys are great. Have a Derek Carr, who's a very likable guy. I mean, you either love Aaron Rodgers or you hate him at this point in his career. Derek Carr's pretty likable. I feel like a guy like Derek Carr, not a lot of enemies in the NFL. And, again, I mentioned the Kamara off-the-field issues. As unfortunate as it is, the media eats that type of thing up. HBO would be all over that. Again, Jamal Williams with his mic'd up moments. I think that this could potentially work. I think that Hard Knocks would be good. Me and Musso were talking in the hallway, and he's like, Taylor, it messes everything up. They're going to stink anyways. They don't need help being any worse. But I don't know. I mean, it could be, from a fan's perspective, I'm excited about it, but I could totally see how that may mess up a few things. And again, Dennis Allen, I think this is a make or break year for Dennis Allen. He doesn't need any help. So it may not be the best thing for the franchise, and there's a lot of fans that wouldn't like it, but you would enjoy watching it nonetheless. Okay, we're going to grab a quick break. On the other side of this, though, next segment, ESPN actually ranked the top 15 number 1 high school football recruits in the ESPN era. They ranked them 1 to 15. An LSU Tiger made that list. We'll talk about it in a potential new team for him as he continues his NFL career. That's coming up next here on the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
For live play-by-play this weekend when the Yankees host the Twins Saturday at noon, and Sunday the Astros host the Rangers at 6 p.m. Plus the Cavs host the Knicks Saturday at 5 p.m. in the NBA playoffs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Taylor Sharp here with you, sitting in for Mr. Hunt Palmer, who is out living it up in California. He's going to go watch the Cubs and Dodgers tomorrow. He thinks the Cubs are going to get a win. I do not, because they're the Cubs and they're terrible, but I'm sure Hunt's going to have a good time no matter what. He is back on Monday. Friday show always brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Look, I've been to Cork's. I've been a few times, actually. It's phenomenal seafood. I know most of you may pass it and say, oh, well, it's a drive-through seafood restaurant. It's not. It's not like those other drive-through seafood restaurants. It is legitimate, authentic Cajun food. Their catfish is seasoned to perfection. Really good fried shrimp as well. Good French fries. The great rolls. They're super sweet, and they got a variety of sauces you could choose from. Now they have your typical cocktail sauce, tartar sauce, but they also have a Cork's traditional sauce. The best way to describe it would be like a spicy cane sauce. Very, very good there. Go check out Cork's and give it a shot right here on Government Street, down by North Foster at the corner of Government and North Foster. Almost shares a parking lot with Superior Grill. You cannot miss it right there. Give Cork's a try. It is really, really good. Okay, before we went to break, I teased that ESPN, they recently came out with a list, if you will, of ranking the top number 1 overall high school recruits of every recruiting class since the ESPN era. They ranked the top 15. An LSU Tiger fell on this list, and I'm not gonna read all 15, but I'll give you the top 5. Jadeveon Clowney was number 1. Look, we get it. Beast in college, and this is based on their college performances, not what they've done in the NFL. Beast in college, had a ton of hype around him. I get it. 2 and 3 are a little confusing to me. Number 2 is Kayvon Thibodeau of Oregon. Now, Kayvon Thibodeau made some great plays, but number 2 overall, I don't know about that one. Number 3, Justin Fields. That's flat out wrong. If you've ever heard me co-host a show with Mario Ramuso, you all know my take on Justin Fields as a quarterback. But nonetheless, I have him at 3. Leonard Fournette came in at number 4. So they have him as the 4th best and number 1 overall recruit in the history of college football since the rankings have been out. And it's hard to argue with. I mean, he came on campus and he really got started right away. Now, he had a little bit of slow start at the beginning, but he wound up finishing with 1,000 yards as a freshman, really broke out in that Florida game. He had 115 yards, 2 touchdowns in that game. You saw him later in the year in the bowl game against Texas Tech. He was great in that game. And his sophomore year, he blew up. He had 1,700 yards rushing, a lot of touchdowns. It seemed like every game he broke a long run. I remember me and my dad, we watch every LSU game together. It's something we've done since I was 4 years old. We'd sit there, and if LSU's trailing, we're like, okay, when's Fournette's run coming? You know it's coming. When's it coming? He was one of the September Heisman winners, if you will, that guy that after the first 4 or 5 games of the season, the media's like, this guy's going to win the Heisman. A meteor would have to strike the earth for that not to happen, and it hardly ever happens. And you guys remember the tough game he had against Alabama, 17 carries, 31 yards. That killed his dreams of the Heisman right there, but solid career nonetheless. And, you know, he's done okay in the NFL as well. Some people consider him a bust just because he was picked 4th overall by the Jaguars, but he's been in the NFL for 6 years. He's rushed for 1,000 yards twice, 2017, 2019. As a rookie, his rookie year in 2017, he helped Jacksonville reach the AFC Championship game, and they rode him a lot later in that year. That offense was bad, and he kind of helped them look a lot better than they were supposed to be. Blake Bortles was that team's starting quarterback. And the reality is, in that AFC Championship game, they had New England on the ropes. I mean, it was 24-0 in the blink of an eye. Now, we've seen Tom Brady come back from that time and time again. Shout out Atlanta Falcons. But if the Jacksonville Jaguars have a better quarterback in that game, they win that game, they go on to play for the Super Bowl. Who knows what happens in Leonard's career? But look, this is a guy who's still under the age of 30. He's 28 years old. And when he got traded to Tampa, kind of had an up-and-down career in Tampa the last 3 years. But he made some big plays, and he made them when it mattered most. You saw the 2-touchdown performance he had in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Really helped them a lot in that game. They ultimately beat the Chiefs in that ball game, thanks in large part to him. Frankly, he was bad last year, but he had a terrible offensive line. I mean, at the beginning of the year, before the season started, it was every single week a different Tampa Bay starting offensive lineman went down. There were people talking about, should Tom Brady quit before the season even starts? Is he going to get absolutely destroyed in the pocket. I mean, that's how bad this O-line was. I say that to tell you this. Fournette's a free agent. There's a lot of running back needy teams out there. And again, while he's not the player he was in college, he's had some injuries. He's still a solid back. He's still under the age of 30 years old. I'm not saying give the guy a max deal, but 1 to 2 year deal here. He could help a team that needs a back. Look, some of the most notable Chicago Bears need a back. They traded away David Montgomery to the Lions. Right now, Khalil Herbert is their number 1 running back. You know they're probably not going to take a running back early in this upcoming draft. Maybe sign Fournette. I'm not saying make him the lead back, but him and Khalil Herbert kind of split touches. Herbert doesn't have the body. He doesn't weigh as much as Fournette does. Fournette can maybe take that between the tackles role like an Ezekiel Elliott for the Dallas Cowboys. And people always ask me my opinion on Zeke because I'm a Cowboys fan. Look, he lost explosiveness last year, but he was still really solid. 12 touchdowns, 800 yards rushing, splitting touches with Tony Pollard. He was at short yardage that pounded in their back. Teams need that. He could be that for the Chicago Bears. I think the Atlanta Falcons need a running back. I know that at times Cordero Patterson's had big games, but he's playing out of position there. He is not an every down running back. He's a receiver. He played receiver on basically every level until he got to the NFL. Their other running back, Tyler Algier. I think he has potential to be a solid NFL back, but is he ever going to be an every down back? I don't think so. Maybe he could join the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they got solid running backs, but none of them are great. I mean, he could join the stable of backs. They like to keep a good rotation there. You remember they traded away Zach Moss. They still got Devin Singletary and James Cook. Singletary a little undersized to be that short yardage back. James Cook just can't hold on to the football. James Cook's talented enough. I think he's more talented than Singletary. He can't hold on to the ball. Maybe Fournette fits there. There's a ton of contenders looking for depth. We don't know what's going to happen with Joe Mixon. Maybe the Bengals bring on even another LSU guy up there. Another team's the New Orleans Saints. Now, I do not think the Saints are going to sign him. If you were listening a little bit earlier, you heard me and John Hendricks talking. He and I are kind of on the same page of they need a younger back. Fournette's 28. I mean, that's the same age as Jamal Williams and Alvin Kamara. If they're going to add another back, they're going to need a guy that's a little bit younger. The team I like the best for Leonard Fournette is going to be the Los Angeles Rams. This is his best place to join a good team that is a contender and possibly become that lead back. I mean, they went through 4 or 5 running backs last year in LA. Cam Akers, it was very apparent. He's taken a step back. He had that bad Achilles injury at the end of his rookie year. Probably rushed into it a little bit in terms of rehab. Played maybe before he was ready, and he's just not the same guy. He's not as explosive. And other than Akers, there's not a whole lot behind it. Now, I said contenders, but you're going to say, Taylor, the Rams were really bad last year. They were, but they're going to be much better this year. Matthew Stafford's coming back. He was hurt for a lot of the year. Cooper Kupp only played about half the year. He's a top 5 receiver in the NFL. We saw what he did his last healthy full season. I mean, he won the Triple Crown. He was Super Bowl MVP. Their problem the last couple of years has been that running game. They can put a solid O-line in place, which their O-line's not bad. They always have a pretty solid O-line. You put Fournette behind a pretty good offensive line like that in LA, have a passing game unlike he had in Jacksonville with Blake Bortles, a stud wide receiver, Cooper Kupp, so they're not all crowding the box. I mean, Fournette's, the poor guy's almost played against a crowded box his whole time since high school. I mean, the guy came to LSU. We had no passing game whatsoever, and then he goes to Jacksonville for his first 3 years. What happens? Blake Bortles is there. They all key in on Fournette. Goes to Tampa. They had a pretty good quarterback. His name's Tom Brady. You may have heard of him, but their O-line was so bad. He got limited carries and not a lot of room to run. The production was never going to be there, at least not raw numbers-wise. He had some productive plays there, but Fournette, look, he's a free agent right now. A lot of running back needy teams out there. I personally think LA Rams need to take a look at him, and if he's got options, LA is the place that I would go. Okay, we're going to take one last time out here. Coming back, we got one more segment. We're going to do some take it or leave it. Alondra Villarreal, she's going to take over my duties of throwing the questions out there. A little bit longer one this week, so we're going to break here a little early. We'll be back, though, right after this on the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal. They're elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. And in April, we're telling you about Dr. Robert Jackson. You know I like my North Louisiana folks, and Dr. Robert Jackson has done such a great job with his community in North Louisiana. He's dedicated his career to improving health care for his most vulnerable neighbors. He founded the MLK Health Center and Pharmacy in Shreveport, and the clinic provides over $16 million in services to over 1,700 patients every year. That makes Dr. Robert Jackson a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana like Dr. Jackson, who's doing great work, great philanthropic work in our great state, we want to tell their story. Go to lwcc.com/champions, lwcc.com/champions, and nominate a person, a nonprofit, a business to be a champion of Louisiana. Dr. Robert Jackson is April's Champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The most valuable player probably that is the unsung hero through the entire playoffs, LaDacia Williams. All my exes live in Texas. Texas girl from the Big H right here.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back. Join us on Saturday, April 22nd at the Ochsner Medical Complex at The Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown presented by Ochsner. Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Sandegriff, join us for the Monday edition of Hanny Time. We'll recap LSU's series against Kentucky and the beginning of the NBA playoffs. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back to the final segment of today's edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. I almost got through the whole show without a slip up. I knew it wasn't going to happen. Anyways, Taylor Sharp here sitting in for Mr. Hunt Palmer. We're about to wrap things up. And as we do every day, Hunt may not be here, but we're still doing it. A little bit of take it or leave it. Alondra, kick us off.
All right. First one. Devin White recently requested a trade, but Bucks GM Jason Light says the team has no intention of trading the Pro Bowl linebacker. Devin White will sit out the 2023 season if not traded. Take it or leave it.
Oh, I'm leaving it. That's not who Devin White is. The guy loves football more than anyone alive, probably. I mean, he was in tears leaving LSU early for the NFL draft. He wanted to come back so bad. He's going to play this year, even if they don't trade him, but the Bucs have to trade this guy. I mean, he's a stud, and if he doesn't want to be there, this is the last year of his contract. You're going to wait for him to play out that contract. He can walk in free agency, and you get nothing in return for him. You're gonna have to trade him, but if he's not traded, he's gonna play. So I'll leave that.
All right, owner Dan Snyder has reached a preliminary agreement to sell the Washington Commanders. Under new ownership, Washington will become a better franchise. Take it or leave it.
I'm gonna take it. I'm not gonna pass my Cowboys. Here's the only reason I'll take it. Could the franchise be much worse right now? I mean, this is one of the worst franchises in not the NFL in all of sports. They're a joke. They're always in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. They may not win more games, but they'll definitely be better in PR. I'm going to take that.
All right. In response to the Big Ten's announcement that it will look for a new commissioner, the ACC agreed to a 3-year extension with Commissioner Jim Phillips. This will save the ACC. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. This particular move's not going to save the ACC. I mean, like, I wasn't happy about the conference realignments either, but that's the way college football is going. SEC's getting bigger. Big Ten's getting bigger. The ACC better make a play or they're going to get left in the dust too. There's one team out there that can save the ACC. You got to get Notre Dame on board. You got to get Notre Dame on board for college football. They're already there for basketball. I know they think they're all high and mighty and better than everyone, but if you get them on there, then that is what's going to save the ACC. Let's go ahead and skip the Bryce Harper one.
All right, returning to work after a long vacation. Take it or leave it. I feel like I know the answer to this one.
I'm going to leave it. This week's been a struggle. It's so weird because I took 8 days off of work for my honeymoon, right?
Right.
And then I come back on Thursday. We work.
Yeah.
Then it's Good Friday. We're off. So I was off 8 work days, came back to work one day, worked 3-day weekend. Now I'm back for a full week. I mean, I am running on fumes here on this Friday. But I got to tell you, I was ready to come back. Aruba, that's where we went for our honeymoon. Not a big island. They said it's 19 miles long, 6.5 miles wide. I mean, we were there 6 full days.
You can explore that in one day.
We did everything you could possibly do on that island. I mean, if we didn't see it on that island, it doesn't exist. So while it was a struggle to finally get through a full week of work for the first time in about 3 weeks, I am happy to be back. But I'll leave it because this week has been a struggle. All right, last one, huh?
All right, last one for you. Kind of on topic. Switching up your work schedule. Take it or leave it.
Well, I'm going to have to take it because
I'll take it.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I guess this is as good a time to tell anyone. As all of you already know, Danny Cardenas, the video producer for Off the Bench, his last day was today. He is moving on. He got a great job, and he's able to work remotely. It's a full-time gig. In all likelihood, I will be taking Danny's place on Off the Bench. That's not official yet. I'm kind of doing a little trial run next week, but this could very well be my last day on middays, and it's been an absolute blast. I'm going to have the exact same schedule. I'm basically going to be here from 6 to 3 every day. It's just I'm going to do mornings, social media stuff in the middle of the day, other stuff in the afternoons instead of traffic in the mornings, social media middays, show in the afternoons. So I'll still be here. I'm not really changing up my work schedule, changing up work assignments, if you will, and who knows, temporary, permanent, we don't know. But starting Monday morning, Taylor Sharp will be hanging out with Mario Perez, Jacob Hester, and T-Bob Abear.
Love it.
For a little bit of Off the Bench. I'm excited about it. Always willing to try new things. As much as I love being a scheduled person, there's always more out there. Give it a try. Get your feet wet in every single avenue you can. I'm excited to do it. It should be a heck of a ride. I've filled in for Danny multiple times, and T-Bob's not exactly the most boring person to deal with in the morning, so
that's fair. That
should be exciting as well. But yeah, I'll go ahead and take it. That's the last one, right? Okay, so look, that's just about going to do it for today's show. I'm going to thank Hunt Palmer for giving me the opportunity to host the show. This is my first time doing his show in its entirety. I sat in with him one time because, well, he's a massive baseball fan, and he took off 2 segments early to go see LSU opening day. Cushy gig that guy has, but this is my first time doing 2 full hours by myself. I enjoyed it. There were some growing pains, but we got through it. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And I hope there's a lot more of this to come in the future. I want to thank Alondra. I want to thank Casey. And I also want one more time to thank our Friday sponsor. That's Cork's Fried Fish and Seafood, Cajun Fried Fish and Seafood. If you haven't been out there, give them a shot. Now, they're a drive-through seafood restaurant, but they're not like other seafood restaurants. It is authentic, legitimate Louisiana Cajun catfish. Their catfish blew me away. I was expecting it to be good. It was even better than I thought it was going to be. Some of the best fried shrimp in Baton Rouge, if I do say so myself. Get out there right here on Government Street at the corner of Government and North Foster, right there next to Superior Grill. They almost share a parking lot. You cannot miss it. You'll see the line of cars going in and out of there all the time because it is that good. So again, that's Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Seafood, our Friday sponsor every single Friday here on the Hunt Palmer Show. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. Again, thanks to Casey. Thanks to Alondra, who, if it wasn't for her efforts, I would not be in this seat. So Alondra, thank you for pulling double duties today. I know Mr. Haldane's a lot to deal with in the mornings and it tires you out, but you were here till 3 o'clock just like me. Couldn't thank you enough. That's going to do it for me. Coming up for the next 3 hours, it's the guy himself, Mr. Matt Moscona. He's driving you home with After Further Review. That's coming up right after this. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back.
Join us on Saturday, April 22nd.
At the Oshner Medical Complex at the Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and Joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown presented by Oshner.
Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com.